Thanks for the opportunity for us to share some of our experiences. And we've had it all. We've got CA, we've been through every disease under the sun, but worst of all was definitely foot and mouth. Can everyone see the screen here? All right, so let's stand this side. All right, so the first farm that got it in February, 2nd of February this year, it came, we don't know where it came down. There was a route that was coming down from KZN, and there was a route that was coming down from the Free State. But anyway, for some reason, it ended up in Elliot, and I don't think there was a surrounding farmer within maybe 200 Ks that had it. So just to give you an idea, that the blue line is the boundary of Mountain View, and that's the commonage. So on both the farms that have contracted foot and mouth disease, in both circumstances, we had it through what we think is possibly the commonage or our neighbor in this area. But he had no cattle that moved onto his farm. So so what we did was we tried to put many systems in place in anticipation for it, but we didn't realize that it would come as quickly as it did. And I said to all our managers that if anyone sees any symptoms, send me a message, don't phone me. So that was the message. So we contracted it on the 2nd of Feb, and it peaked quite quickly. I'll sort of give you a little time frame of the train of events that happened, and it kind of petered out towards the end of March. We unfortunately there was no vaccine available, or state vaccine at the time, and Edgar said it, not me, but we did try and use other vaccine, and I think what happened there is that we probably vaccinated in the time where the cows were incubating already. And what we've learned is that if you vaccinate a naive animal, good luck. This is what's going to happen to you. But on the other farms where we had vaccinated before and then got state vaccine in, it certainly helped. Garley Hills in Queenstown, also boundary the commonage. We know for a fact that it came from that area. We heard about 3 weeks before that they had contracted foot and mouth in the commonage, and thanks to Henri and the MPO team, we managed to get some of the first biogenesis vaccine that came into the country, as we were ring-fenced as a hotspot area. And we vaccinated on the 27th of Feb, and we saw our first symptoms the next week. And then with this farm, it didn't last very long. It was about a month, and I'll show you the numbers just now. But 13th of May, we picked it up again on the farm, and again, thanks to the MPO and Henri, they managed to make a plan and get us the Dolvet vaccine, and we vaccinated 2 days after we picked up the second case, the second lot of cases. All right, so sorry, you can't see this very clearly, but before this whole process started, we had a plan. I got hold of anyone and everyone that had experienced it, from KZN, Gauteng farmers, and try to get as much information as we can to have an action plan and to try and anticipate what's coming. This is all our guidelines and treatment protocols that we had in place for the onset of the disease. It wasn't a matter of if we were going to get it, but it was a matter of when. So we knew it was coming. And when it hit, everything changed, and one can never prepare themselves of what happens to these poor cows. So just to give you an idea, I'm not going to go day for day. We've actually got a diary that we wrote all the information down, but I just want to show you how quickly how quickly it affects the cows and how devastating it is. So on day one, when I got the message, I was on one of the Queenstown farms, and Carl phoned me and said, "Look, there's some cows, heifers that are frothing at the mouth, and he's bringing them into the kraal, and he's going to start injecting them with tetracycline and anti-inflammatories and all that, because that's what a lot of the other guys were doing." Anyway, I got to the farm, had a look at all the cows in the crush, and then I left them and I went to look at the rest of the group of the heifers. And there were probably about another 30, 40 cows there that he hadn't even brought in yet. So I said to him, "Look, Carl, just leave them. They're probably the least of our worry. These cows, I mean, these heifers, they probably won't, show serious signs or have serious issues. It's the milk cows that we need to worry about." So anyway, I made a decision there, and the decision was to leave any animal that was not a milking cow. Leave her, don't touch her unless she can't get up and walk. If she can't get up and walk, then we sort that cow out. Right, then day two we woke up, and it had moved from the in-calf heifers, which was about, as a crow flies, about a K away, and we started picking it up into our steam-up cows. These are the steam-up cows there, and that's typically what you see with the first signs of foot and mouth. And also, from what we learned from the farmers coming down, farmers in KZN, was that if dry matter intake is a problem. So on day two, before it got into the milk cows, we changed to a high protein ration, which was a real savior for us. By day three, we woke up to a few calves that had died. We weren't sure what was happening. We heard about this tiger heart disease, but we didn't really know what it was. Anyway, we cut them open, did some post-mortems, and sent the pictures to our vet, and he said, "Well, that's tiger heart." So we just didn't know what to expect, and we didn't know what was coming. And then we were also in the peak of our calving at that time. We were calving probably 30, 40 cows a day, and very quickly we started suffering huge milk fever numbers. And that's obviously due to dry matter intake problems. So we had to change the ration there and try and get a more dense ration. And obviously this had come through the incubation period and so on. So, yeah. And then blisters and lesions, we started seeing them on the fresh cow, obviously from the fresh cows in the milking cows. So we knew the storm was coming. But day four, we woke up to, I went to have a look at the calves and picked up all these dead calves out the pens. By that stage, 36% of mortalities in the calves, and made a decision then to stop rearing. Because we knew that these calves were just going to die. So we stopped rearing, we euthanized everything, and so the problems got worse. On day four, we also started stripping because the mastitis cases were creeping, and again, the information from the other farmers, you'd probably get about 25 to 35% mastitis in your herd. So by day five, it started getting into the milk cows. We had picked up about 50 cases of mastitis, and we started losing a lot of milk, so we started treating all cows. Anything with more than 25% milk drop, would give them X-seed and an anti-inflammatory, so at least the milk could go back to the tank. And at this stage, we didn't really have any limping problems with hooves or anything like that. But just in precaution, we started foot bathing in the afternoon. And then by day 6, 4-liter milk drop through the herd, 68% mortalities in the calves, and we made a decision then to start stripping at every session. And day 6, the foot and mouth got into our beef cows. And the same thing applies to beef cows. Just said to the guys, only if the animals cannot move do you treat them. Otherwise, you just create a whole lot of unnecessary activity. And that's the best decision we could have made. Okay, then day 10, a few days later, it really started ramping up. plus minus 300 mastitis cows, and we were pulling out 60 to 70 cases a day. And by day 10, 95% of our calves had died, and that's where it ended, because we had a few calves left over. That I think we've got 19 calves from that calving left, and they managed to survive. So they'll be strong milkers when they get in milk. But 5 litre milk drop on day 10, and dry matter intake really started becoming a problem. So what we did was we got the mowers out and we cut in front of the cows all the pasture that we were giving to the cows, but really they weren't eating anything at this stage. And fortunately, we had a lot of maize silage on the farm, so we were able to supplement them with that. But we had to just manage the different intakes, and just to make sure that these cows don't get acidosis, because you don't want this and acidosis. And day 13, in 3 days we got up to 500 mastitis cows in the herd, and cows were battling to get to the dairy. I think we were milking about 14 hours a day then. So and we at that stage it was also quite hot in KZN, so intramammaries were a problem. So we're battling to get medicine, and we literally are bought from every vet practice in the Eastern Cape, XC, that I could find. We've got from Tsitsikamma and everywhere. So and then day 16 was about the worst day that we had. 683 cows with mastitis, 6 litre milk drop, and 97 cows with E. coli. Now, I think you guys know with E. coli mastitis, it takes a lot of time and effort to treat those cows, and it costs a lot of money. I think we were spending nearly 4,000 Rand a cow just to try and get them to survive, never mind, to continue milking. So through all this devastation, we obviously, I tried to set some targets for the guys, and one of the things that I set for them was, please guys, just focus on milk withdrawals. We extended all the milk withdrawals by 2 days, and I said, we cannot afford to lose a litre of sellable milk. And through this whole period, with all those cows, I mean, that was the peak of the cows. That wasn't, it dropped off from day 16, but we didn't lose a litre of milk that got contaminated with antibiotics. All right, so here's some numbers. I don't know if you can all see that, but at Mountain View, like I said, 2nd of February to the 31st of March, we treated a total of 1,808 cases of mastitis, but that's on 1,083 cows, with 471 repeat cases. So that means that the cows that got mastitis, they came in again, and we picked it up on another quarter. Then at Garley Hills, when they got it on the 2nd of March, very, very different story. So like I said, we had vaccinated prior to this and vaccinated again with the first state vaccine that came into the Queenstown area about 3 days prior to the seeing it in the heifers. It got into the milk cows probably about 7 days after that, on the 9th of March. But this was literally like a non-event compared to what happened on the Elliott farm. So we only had 194 cows with mastitis and treated 125 treatments. So in that period, only 4.2% of the herd was affected. And then we picked it up again on the 13th of May. I couldn't believe my eyes when he saw that, and I actually told the manager, to go and ask the vet his opinion, because I didn't want to tell him what I was thinking. And it happened to be that. So working with Unri again, I think we were probably the first dairy in the Eastern Cape to get booster vaccine, and thankfully so, because it made all the difference. So we vaccinated on the 15th of May, and a bit more cases this time, but still very manageable. So a very big difference here. So 68.3% of the cows at Mountain View had mastitis, and at Garley Hills only 5.5%. So that is the difference we're talking with vaccinated and unvaccinated herds. So guys, it is big. All right, so the milk income loss, I just want to show you over the period of the foot and mouth, and this is just the milk income loss during that period. Garley Hills, Mountain View, we discarded in excess of about 235,000 liters of milk. That's what we lost. That was a milk income loss of 4.5 million. At Garley Hills in March, 55,000 milk income loss, and then the second one was a little bit worse, but I must reiterate here, we weren't producing close to the budget numbers that we had, to the numbers that we had budgeted. So it's a little bit skewed. I think the number's far less than that, but that's the numbers there. All right, so what are the facts? The facts are at Mountain View, we lost 95% of our calves, 68% of them were affected with mastitis, and only 8% we had limping cows. So it wasn't a huge issue, but it was still an issue. And we lost 92 cows. So with that, I remember the one Monday we got there, and it was during that period we had all the E. coli mastitis, and we'd lined all these cows up in the crush, and we were going to make a decision whether we were going to treat them or what we're going to do with them, and we just ended up euthanizing 37 cows that morning, and then I went back that night and I thought, hang on, this is getting messy here. It's not a nice thing to do this. So we started a death camp where any cows that had no milk, had E. coli mastitis, that were being treated, that we couldn't do anything with, we just chucked them into the death camp. We looked after them, we gave them good food, and if they survived, they survived, and if they're on their deathbed, then we would go and euthanize them. So that was a good call. We probably shouldn't have euthanized all the 37, but you're trying to do what's best for the animal as well. Then the financial impact, like I said, 4.5 million rand milk income loss during that 2 months at Mountain View. And then over and above our budgeted veterinary costs, we spent 1.33 million. So one thing I can tell you, if we didn't have the backing of number 2 piggeries, we wouldn't be farming that farm there today. So, oh gosh, you can't see this. All right, so this is just a graph of the somatic cell count trend of what we experienced. So there is our target of 250. So you can see we're comfortably below 250 before the onset of foot and mouth. And then it came in there February, March, April, May, June. So we peaked at a somatic cell count of 2.15 million. And then it slowly but surely started working itself down. So to me, the rate that the cows had improved at wasn't the rate that the somatic cell count was improving at. So it was quite a concern for me. And what we then did, we went and we did some culture tests on some cows to find out that one of our biggest problems is Staph aureus. So what had happened was, I think during the period of the foot and mouth, obviously there were some cows with Staph aureus. We weren't disinfecting between cups off and cups on, and this thing just spread like wildfire because the cows were immune suppressed there. So we went and we again spent a lot of money doing culture tests on the entire herd, and 177 cows have got Staph aureus at the moment that we need to work through. So you can see there some of the targets that we need to be at. So cows under 500,000, we want to be greater than 80%. We're sitting at 60%. And that's why our somatic cell count is sitting at 600,000. So we've got a very long way to go. We cannot afford just to cull those cows out. We're going to work through them systematically, milk them last, cluster flush our cows, Not the cow, sorry, the clusters, disinfect the clusters, and just slowly but surely work through this process. At Gala Hills, we were already doing that because Staph aureus was an issue before, but we're currently running at very good somatic cell count numbers, but we've been doing this for about 2 years there now, so we really got that under control. And only if I had known that that was a risk, we would have implemented before we got the foot and mouth in, or at the point of foot and mouth in Elliot. So we've got a double whammy here, and we've got a long way to recover. All right, just to finish up, so I just wanted to share with you, so what should I tell my neighbor? And I don't know, this is a quote by Winston Churchill, never let a good crisis go to waste, but Edgar loves that one too, so I'll put his name there too. But guys, when you get this thing, don't panic. You guys will never be in a position that we were at Mountain View, because everyone's vaccinated. Who's done their booster yet? No one yet. Okay, so if you get it, get your booster as quick as you can, and I promise you, you'll have good results. But don't panic. That is critical, because everyone around you is panicking, and you need to calm the team down, because they're as stressed as what you are to get through this period. And then vaccinate at first signs. The proof is in the pudding. I've shown you the data. I don't know what the MPO will allow us to do, but I know that the Dolvet vaccine needs a booster. Well, it needs to be a booster at 6 months, and then every 6 months thereafter. So, don't know what's going to happen with that. How quickly the supplies will come in, but at least if we do get it again, then at least we get the opportunity to vaccinate at onset. So maybe that's something we can look at. And then have the financial reserves. If it's coming into your area, I think we need to speak to the bank manager, because it's going to cost a lot of money. And then one thing I try to do as well is educate the team. So before the onset of the foot and mouth, I literally printed posters and I show them what they can expect, because if it came into the common edge, then at least they can look at their animals and then they can tell us, okay, they're seeing these symptoms, let's work together and try and figure a plan out. So yeah, and it's all about teamwork. Working 14 hours a day with the same guys, that's going to break sometime. There's a lot of stress over that period. But for us, it ran pretty smoothly. We cooked for all the staff. We took them home during lunch to go and sleep. We picked them up again, and went the extra mile. And I think just that little bit of effort really helped. And then feed the correct meal and water. So again, through this crisis, we have now implemented a system where we're feeding meal and water to all our cows, and we're saving 135 Rand on pelleting costs. So that's probably one of the biggest things that we've learned. And then feed as dense ration as you possibly can. So don't just rely on bulky feed if your cows or if you're going through this process. And I think even if you have vaccinated and you go through this process again, just remember that. Try and feed as dense ration as you possibly can, because it's to keep the intake into those cows that their immune system can be as high as possible. And then obviously through the whole period there, when I said we ran out of medicine, we ended up just having to find injectables. We made our own concoctions, and that helps. It helps a lot. So yeah, Renier, thanks very much. If you want to answer any questions, please. Sure.
The farming pattern exactly the same of those two dairies?
Yes, for that season, yeah.
And then the meal and water, the slurry mix, did you try and get them onto that in the midst of it, or were they habituated? Were they on it before?
So no, but it was before, when it was coming down. We literally about 2 weeks before that we put it in. Yeah.
Cows were already on it.
Our cows were already on it. Yeah.
Could they take their concentrates in?
Yeah, but they adapt to the system quickly. It's like 3 days.
But that in the dairy, could they take that in? So
Yeah.
it was outside with the fibre that they had.
Yeah, it's a fibre because of the saw miles and stuff. So Yeah, they'll leave a little bit, but it's not bad. They take it in. So when we're feeding the high, so we moved to the high protein ration very quickly, and we upped that by another 2 kgs a cow just to try and get dry matter into those cows. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
That cluster flush, have you implemented it on all the dairies in the group, or are you just implementing it on like a preventative where there's high somatic, if you see foot and mouth, or are you doing that as a general across the group?
No, I know Georgie was advocating it for a while, but the thing is, you've got to know what you're dealing with. So if you're dealing with, bacteria that's highly contagious, that it'll cross contaminate quickly, then it's worth it. But don't just, because I know she put up on a farmer's day, like you can. This is what happened to this farm when they put a cluster flush system in, but they probably had Staph aureus, and that's why it's worked on their farm. So you got to know through your culture and microbiology tests that you do what the issue is. So to answer that, no, we're not. We're doing it at Gala Hill still, and we're doing it at Mountain View now.
Steve, did you have the same problems with the calves on both sides, or the vaccinated herd and the Gala Hills, were they better or worse?
No, so remember at Mountain View we got it in early Feb, so we were in the peak of calving then, and then at Gala Hills we got it a month month later, yeah, and it didn't really hurt the Gala Hills side, it was more the peninsula side across the road. So those calves were old enough to manage it as well. So we didn't lose any calves to Tiger Heart there. All right. No more questions. Thanks.